Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to another Calendar's franchise mode here in NHL 25. So if you didn't catch last episode, you didn't really miss too much. We kind of had the exact same results as we've had the last 5 seasons, that being losing in the conference finals to a Canadian team. So unfortunately, we lost to Montreal. They went on to win the Stanley Cup. So I still don't really understand why this team hasn't won a Stanley Cup, because we've had some really good runs as of the last 5 years, but we can't find ourselves back in that finals again since we lost to the Oilers, which is really unfortunate, because there's a lot of guys on this team that deserve the Stanley Cup with this team that are not going to get the chance after this offseason. But I just really don't understand it. Like, you could look at Houghton's stats, like for the last 5 years of the playoff runs, he's been pretty damn solid in every single one of those years, and our team just hasn't been able to find himself a Stanley Cup at that point. So yeah, we basically lost to like Toronto 2 times now in the conference finals. We've lost to Montreal 2 times in conference finals, and we've lost to Ottawa in the conference finals, all within the span of 5 seasons. So this might be one of the best regular season teams to never get it done, which is quite outrageous. So hopefully going forward, we could find a way to basically get this team a Stanley Cup still with some of the core intact. Obviously, guys that are going to be probably leaving the team at the end of this episode, or during this episode, I should say. Guys like Tatar, he's a pending UFA. There's probably a good chance that he's gone, as his demand for contract is too much money. Also, I don't think he's going to be worth that type of money, because he kind of wants more money right now than Olli Houghton is getting paid, which is kind of outrageous in my opinion. Also, other guys that might end up leaving the team this offseason include Mr. Ciofito. Ciofito might be leaving because there's maybe no chance that we could afford to bring him back. Also, because we need guys like Dempsey more ice time this coming season. And then another one that we are going to be probably letting go of for sure is goaltender Alexander Solovyov, who's been here for his entire career. It's unfortunate that he's never found a way to win a Stanley Cup with us, but there's just no realistic way for us to keep him when we have a good goalie prospect in the system who is ready to make that jump and play with Komatov. So we are probably going to lose quite a bit of good players on this roster, so I'm not too entirely sure what our roster is going to look like going into next season, but a lot of the core should be still the exact same, but there should be maybe some changes in terms of like bottom 6 roles, maybe some top 6 roles, that type of thing. So excited to see what we look like next year, but at the same time, I don't know if it's just going to be another year with similar results, or if it's going to be like, since we make our team weaker, maybe we actually have a better chance in the postseason or not. So anyways, with that said, let's get in your guys' comments, see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we'll see what we end up doing this offseason. So the first comment is from Project Anthrax 4999. I think that's what it says. He says, Matthew Tkachuk played with a broken sternum last year, but Makinen can't handle some bruised ribs. It's the playoffs, man up. And yeah, that's true, but I also feel like hockey culture is kind of a bit dumb, though, because why do hockey players play with such dangerous injuries like that? Meanwhile, like, if you look at like the NBA and stuff like that in the playoffs, if somebody goes down with an injury, they're actually just gonna stay out most of the time. Like, not a lot of them play actually injured, I'm pretty sure. So I don't understand why it's just in hockey culture, at least, to continue playing through like bad injuries like that. Like, I understand obviously having to like help your team out as much as possible, but like literally you're risking the rest of your career by still playing with that injury. So it's a bit of a weird debate, but yeah, I can understand maybe why Makinen didn't want to play with him bruised ribs. Maybe it was hard for him to breathe, stuff like that. But it is unfortunate that he was out for that conference finals, because I feel like if we did have him in our lineup, maybe we would have had a higher chance of winning against the Habs. But that was quite a substantial blow to our lineup, because he was leading our team in goals when he left our team due to injury. And the last and final comment is from Sour Tacos. Is at this point, the approach of throwing anything against the wall to see what sticks is probably your only real play. Solovyov should be gone, same with Tatar and Fisher. I don't think there's any way you could hold on to Ciofito either. Take that top 6 forward who's 2 years out with your first pick, since he could play either wing. So, yeah, basically what he's saying, yeah, we're going to get rid of those players that I was just mentioning as well, but also we're going to probably let go of Fisher, just because we do have some defensive prospects that are pretty much ready to make the jump this season, those being guys like Erzberg and Granato. So getting rid of Fisher, getting rid of Tatar makes sense. Carlton could jump up into the top 4, and then we could have a younger top 6 pairing, which might be interesting. Now, the only thing I don't know if I will like is Granato and Erzberg, like I mentioned before, they're both offensive defensemen. Holmstrom's an offensive defenseman, and Houghton's an offensive defenseman. So we might have to trade one of those OFDs for a more defensively minded person for that top 6 pairing in the next episode. But I want you guys' opinions on that. Like, should we just run with a bunch of OFDs, or is that too dangerous because maybe we'll give up a lot of goals that way? So, definitely gonna let go of Fisher, though, even though he's a two-way defenseman. He's not a bad player, don't get me wrong, but I just don't feel like we need to really do that when we have guys in the system who pretty much could make the jump. Also, like, Carlson could be a depth defender. Lindsay might make our defensive core if he jumps up too. So, we do have options to go to potentially for a new-looking top 6 pairing, which is nice. So with that said, I think we're ready to get on into the draft. He said to take the left wing, right wing, or what was it that he said? Oh, the guy that could take either wing, the top 6 forward, that's 2 years out. I wish he would have said by name, because I do not remember who that is. I probably had him pinned, so let's take a look. Oh yeah, we have a lot of guys pinned, I forgot about that. So he was saying about taking Koivunen, wasn't it? Yeah, it's Koivunen. So he's saying to take Sami Koivunen with our first pick, even though there is this low lead sniper who is supposed to go next round. It's just more because he's 4 years out. We don't really have the time to develop somebody like that. So that's probably why he's leaning towards that guy. I'm kind of surprised that he didn't say to try and move up to get this medium elite power forward. But also this guy is a little bit a long ways from making it. He's 3 years out, which is not terrible. But we can use more wingers right now if we're especially letting go of Cialfido. So I guess it kind of makes sense to go with Koivunen over everybody else. So that's likely going to be our selection unless we decide otherwise. And then there's a bunch of guys that we could steal later in this draft as well, like Barker, for instance, who's low lead, Gerard, who's low lead, Ekblad, who's a medium elite defenseman. So we should be able to get some good prospects in at this draft, which is good, but obviously a lot of them might not make an impact before the series ends, who knows? Which is really unfortunate. Now, that's actually kind of interesting. I was just looking at the playoff stats from that playoff run, and the point leaders around the league, Eli Anthony, who won the Conn Smythe, only had 5 more points than Houghton did, and Houghton obviously got eliminated in the conference finals. So I think Houghton honestly could have won a Conn Smythe if we won that cup this year, because like Giordano was 4 points under Houghton for team lead, and yeah, that's kind of insane. I'm just kind of surprised Utah got to the Cup final so easily because they didn't have that crazy production, it looks like, on their team. But anyways, with that said, let's hop on into the 2042 draft. And yeah, we're not going to make any trades probably at this draft, but Resign stage, like I mentioned, we're going to be letting go of some pretty important players. So it's going to be a little bit of a tough episode to say goodbye to a lot of those guys, but we got to find a way to turn this team into a winner. And I'm not too sure what that means, basically, like what we need to let go of, that type of thing. Anyways, let's take a look at this year's top 5. So Colorado has 1, followed by Vancouver, Edmonton, Washington, and Boston. So let's see what these teams select. Colorado at number 1 is going to select Boma, who's an 83 overall medium elite playmaker. Bobby Boma, oh yeah, Bobby Boma. That name is still pretty sick, though, to be honest. So there is Bobby Boma. And then we have Vancouver at number 2. What are they going to get? Svatos. It kind of sucks that Svatos didn't go to Colorado just because of Marek Svatos. But there goes Ladislav Svatos. 83 overall center playmaker. All right, looking pretty good. Puck on a string, too. Edmonton at 3 is going to select Berglund, who's an 81 overall DFD. Pretty solid top 3 so far in terms of ratings. All right, Jorgen. Yeah, it's probably Jorgen. Jorgen Berglund. Fun to say that. Bouncer for him. Right D-man. Nice. The Anaheim Ducks at 4 select Langfeld, who's an 81 overall as well. Two-way defenseman. So, yeah, a lot of these players in the top 5 are pretty good. Like, these guys are all, like, top 4, top 6 forwards almost already. So, there is Pierce Langfeld, who has in reverse. And then finally, the Boston Bruins at 5 will select Grollo, who is a 79 overall right-wing playmaker. Georges Grollo, or GG is his nickname probably. So there he is. All right, so that's the top 5. Do we want to move up for that power forward that's medium elite, or do we want to just do what Saturn Otaku was mentioning? I just want to double check on that guy again, because this guy could be interesting. I don't know how much spots we'd have to move up to get that spot. I don't know if he's worth it. He probably doesn't have good face-off stats, my guess, so he could be more of a winger, but It kind of is hard not to move up and get a medium elite power forward. But he was saying to go for the left wing, or the right wing and left wing guy. I mean, he is 2 years out, so he's probably a solid overall. Maybe at least like a 67 or 68. Maybe even higher than that if he's 2 years. He could be like a 70. Yeah, maybe we're going to still lean towards Koivunen, even though there is a medium elite on the board. We might as well go for the guy that's pretty close to making it. So yeah, I think we'll probably go for Koivunen. Unless, do we have a early second round pick? I don't remember. Let's see. We do have that one from St. Louis. That's 12th. I don't think I'd be able to get the other guy's 12th overall in the second round. Because if I could get Koivunen with that early second rounder, then I could try and move up to get 27th. Potentially. Because right now, I guess technically that would be equivalent to 44th overall. Yeah, that would be equivalent to like 44th overall around. And Koivunen is supposed to go where again? Let's double check on this. Make sure we could do our best job possible. So Koivunen, yeah, he's supposed to go 39th to 40th. That's kind of a bit early. There is teams that want to move their early picks in the second round too. Maybe we could find a way. Like if I wanted to move to like, somewhere around, I guess, somewhere around here probably. I'd have to give them the second round pick we got from the Blues. And then I would have to give them probably something else on top of that. We do have multiple thirds. I don't know if it's worth it with the elite steals, though, that we'd get after that. Yeah, you know what? I think we're not going to just get that medium elite guy. I think we're just going to, because there's other prospects later on I'd rather grab. I'm not going to trade any picks really this year. So let's assimilate to our selection and see how good these guys are that went before us. So there is Verdino. Let's see, where's that medium elite? 68 overall Samuelson. That's probably what I expect the guy we did draft to be around is a 68 overall medium 6. There's Lindsay. 62 overall medium elite power forward. Yeah, that would have been nice. 62 is a solid starting point too. So, but yeah, as I expected, not a great face-off guy. So he could have been used maybe as like a left winger. But there's Russ Lindsay. It's a little bit late in the series to develop guys like that. But since he has elite potential, that guy could shoot up to like an 80 plus in 1 year, and I would not be surprised. So, Svensson 76, pretty good. Yeah, it looks like a decent first round. A lot of guys with some high ratings. Some average picks, though, too. Alright, so our selection in this first round, we're going off a little bit off the board, but we are going to be going for Koivunen. Guaranteed medium 6, plays right wing and left wing. Shoots right, which is kind of nice, too. Has offensive instincts, foot speed, agility. No weakness, apparently. And he's 2 years out, so let's go for Samu Koivunen with our selection. Boom. 67 overall. Not too bad. Solid starting point. If he could jump to the NHL in a year or two, that would be really good, like it says. He's got some pretty good shooting categories, like there's 78 across the board already, so kind of already he could be a decent scorer, maybe in the AHL, but I'm almost thinking of waiting a year at least to sign him to his ELC. Just because it's good when they're like 70 plus to sign them. I feel like 67's a little bit too low still for the AHL maybe. But he could play in the AHL if we really wanted him to. So let me know what you guys think about giving him his ELC or waiting a year at least. So there's that. Let's assimilate to our next pick at 44th. At this stage, I don't really know what else we're going to grab. Because, like I said, I do have guys pinned. There's a medium 4 DFD that's a gem. There's the lowly sniper still. Okay, Stefan Markstrom. I forgot about this dude, too. And then there's also Carden. Carden, I don't think is going to be super good, so I'm not going to take him. It's probably between Piros and Markstrom with this selection. Yeah, it's got to be between those two guys. So Piros is a medium 4 DFD. That's a gem. He's a right-handed defenseman. He is 3 years out. Doesn't have the craziest attributes. Has good shooting. Has good physical. But that's pretty much it. And then you have Markstrom, who's that low lead sniper. I think I have to go for the low lead sniper here, just to try and find more and more players that could help out our offensive core. So Stefan Markstrom is going to be our pick. I do like Piros, but I don't really know if... actually, we kind of do need DFDs and stuff like that. This is from the pick from St. Louis. I kind of feel like we do need a defenseman, but I don't think this guy's good enough. His skating's terrible, his puck skills, senses, and his defense is not even very good for a DFD. So yeah, I think I'm just going to go for the forward, but we could have used that defenseman if he was actually better maybe. So Stefan Markstrom is going to be our next selection. 61 overall, that's a pretty good starting point for Markstrom. Pretty good starting point, I will definitely take that. Also solid shooting across the board. Also could probably play in the AHL right now with that shooting, but probably would wait at least 1 year, and hopefully he's like a 70 plus overall within a season. That'd be nice. All right, next pick at 62nd. Let's actually go back a little bit so we can kind of see what we missed out on. It's not a Lemieux guy went to Pittsburgh. That's kind of sick. Tarkey, Wheeler, Brouwer. There's Curry. Curry to San Jose. That kind of makes sense with Steph Curry playing for Golden State. There's Carrollton, 61 overall as well, so not too bad, I guess, for Carrollton. Aside from that, Piros was a 63 overall medium 4, so we couldn't have gone wrong, really. And like I said, Piros is a little bit of more of a long shot, I feel like, to making it as a medium 4, but that's that. All right, our next selection here in the second round. What can we get? We have more people pinned still, so we could already start going for some of these guys if we really want to. You know what? I'm at this stage where I don't really care about if they're off the board or not. Let's go for Ed Ekblad. Next round, we'll go for... maybe we go for Corbin instead. How good is Corbin? He's not guaranteed to be a low elite, but he probably is one. But I'm going to just go for the medium elite defenseman and Ed Ekblad. Why not? And we could just go with Barker next round. Gerard with the next pick. You know, it's a little... Actually, wait a sec. We're in the second round only, right? We could go with Corbin first, and I guess... Yeah, let's take a chance on Craig Corbin. I honestly don't really care too much about these picks now at this point, so boom. Low 4. Damn, I was hoping for low elite, but 60 overall is a good starting point for a guy that's 18. So who knows? He might be one of those low 4s that end up developing well, because we've had some of those in the series so far. So I'll take Corbin. Next pick at 93rd. Oh, damn, we have back-to-back picks here. I forgot about that. Damn, that's kind of sick. We'll go with Ed Ekblad, and we'll probably go with Barker with these next selections. So let's go with Ekblad. There he is, 57 overall, two-way defenseman, medium elite. He is 19 years old, but we'll see if he develops before the series ends or not. And in our next selection, since we got the back-to-back, we could go for a goalie prospect, but I don't think that's necessary right now. Let's go for Marshall Barker. Yeah, let's go with Marshall Barker already. Boom. 53 overall, low elite right wing sniper. Not bad. Hopefully some of these guys actually develop, though. But if they don't, so be it. But like I said, this series is pretty close to being over. So if they don't make it on time, it's going to kind of suck. But all right, our last selection of round 4. Out of the guys that we kind of know a bit about. There's a medium elite, or not medium elite, medium 6 power forward that's 19 years old here. 5 years out, though. Don't like that. Let's go for Mauricio Girard, or should I take somebody else and then get Mauricio Girard next round? Because we do still have 2 more picks after this round, so maybe we actually will go off the board a bit more and go for a goalie like Bergenheim. I don't know if he's actually lead or not, but you know what? Let's give a chance on a goalie prospect because we could use more of them. This guy's already 19, but 6'5", 206, big goalie. Let's take a chance on Bergenheim. 62 overall, medium elite goalie. That's nice. That's nice. Just in case one of the current goalies aren't going to work out, we do got like maybe the son of Sean Bergenheim, we could say, which is kind of sick. So welcome aboard to Bergenheim. Let's take our next selection here in round 5, which is probably going to be that guy I was just mentioning about before. And in our last pick, we'll probably take somebody else. Let me take a look what this guy's name is. Oh, it's Bill Schultz. Because if this guy's name was Bear Schultz, way back in NHL 18, I had a guy named Bear Schultz. So I would have really liked to have another Bear Schultz, but whatever. Let's go with Mauricio Girard here. He's a 17-year-old low elite who is also listed as a gem. So this is a nice little pickup here, regardless of his overall. Let's see what he is. He's a 51. Definitely going to take a little bit to develop, but still, he's young and has a lot of time to basically develop. Could end up making it before the series ends if he gets a lot of growth. All right, our last pick of this draft. We've been doing really well in this draft. Not drafting a single bad pick, I'd say. That low top 4 could even be good. So this last one's probably going to be a bad selection, though, because we don't really know too much else about this class. So unless we find a random steal here, Jacques St. Louis could be interesting. 5 years out. I don't know about that, man. All these guys are probably like 5 years, right? Yeah, pretty much. Let's just go for St. Louis, I guess, at this rate. I honestly don't know what else to go for. St. Louis is actually supposed to get drafted. Same with Briere, though. Briere is actually supposed to go maybe around the same point. 3 C's, 3 D's, kind of. St. Louis has an E. St. Louis is not as good, but has no weakness. Briere has no weakness as well. I feel like Briere's not that good, though. So, there's also this guy that could be a low lead offensive defenseman like Caldwell, but he is 19. So, I think I'm going to just go for St. Louis here. So, let's take a chance on Jacques St. Louis, and he'll be our last selection of this draft. Bottom 6 forward, of course. Yeah, I knew that last selection wasn't going to be a great one regardless. So, there is St. Louis, and that is our entire draft. Not a bad draft, I would say. At least we got some prospects that we could utilize. Koivunen as a top 6 forward prospect. Low lead in Markstrom. Low top 4 in Corbin. And then we got the medium elite defenseman. A low lead there. A medium elite goalie. Another low lead. And in the medium bottom 6. So I think we did pretty well for our selections. But now comes obviously the tough part about every offseason is letting go of players that have been on your team for a while. And that's what we're going to have to do. We are going to re-sign all our scouts, of course. So a lot of people need re-signing here on the scouting pool, which is fine. We'll just get through them, though. I wish it didn't lag, though, when you would go through this part so I could actually see right away. Come on. There you go. So we got Holenka. What about DeSalvatore? Yep, DeSalvatore. Lillian DeSalvatore. Nice name. What about Boileau? Yes. Matthew Boileau. Still the most French name ever. Thompson, yes, Jonathan Thompson, the most white guy ever. Trevelyan, Cody Trevelyan, oh yeah, that dude. Always remember him because of the same first name. Pierre Gagnon, the most Quebecer ever. What about you? Cade Clark, which sounds like Kent Clark or something like that. Mahalik, no. Venkation, yes. Todd Venkation, we'll bring you back. Marsh, yes. Taylor Marsh. What about Benda? Yes, the German. Tobias Benda. Wengrenowski? Yep, Mohammed Wengrenowski. I always remember him too. Tapper? Nope. That's it. Okay, perfect. So we'll get all those scouts back, which is good. And now we got the re-sign stage. And like I said, this is the toughest part about every single offseason is making tough decisions. Unsigned prospects, we do have Savage, who's a 71 at 21 now. That's actually pretty damn good. So, yeah, he's going to definitely get signed for the AHL. He is eligible for it, so we'll sign him up. Terry, who's up to 70 at 20, is a low lead. Is he AHL eligible too? Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yeah, he's getting a contract too. We might as well give some of these guys chances in the AHL already, right? And then the rest of these guys are below 70, so I think everybody here should stay unsigned. If you guys want me to sign any of these guys to their ELCs for next episode, let me know. But might as well give these guys a little bit of a break. We could sign Bergenheim, because are we going to need another goalie, I guess? Because if we're letting go of Soloviev, we'd have Komatov and Nicholas in the NHL. Vishnevsky. And we do need to sign Barkov to his ELC. Maybe we just sign Barkov and leave Bergenheim unsigned for now. Yeah, that might be an okay thing to do. All right. In terms of our UFAs, actually, let's start with our RFAs. Let's go to the bottom of this list here. DeRocher needs a contract extension for Bridgeport, so we'll get him signed up. We'll get Hall signed up as well. 75 at 22 is pretty good. Sprooks is an interesting one. He was our depth forward this season. Let's just bring him back for now. Oh, man, there's also Russell Savage. I wouldn't mind bringing back Savage, like I said, as a bottom 6 option. Multiple years, I don't know about a multiple year deal. Maybe we should just go multiple years at that point, just because he's going to ask for too much. So we are going to knock this down to a 2-year deal at 17.25. Boom. This is a cheap contract for the most part. Mishenko, should I just qualify some of these other dudes? Yeah, maybe. Carlton's a pending UFA, I think, at the end of this upcoming year. Oh my god. 3 years at 8.1. That is way too pricey. So yeah, we're definitely qualifying the likes of Carlton, and we'll qualify Mishenko as well for the time being. Holmstrom is an interesting one, because he's in our top 4, has not a lot of organizational interest. I might have to qualify Holmstrom long term, so we'll keep on doing that. Russell, I liked Russell's defensive play, but I'm not too sure about bringing him back. 9 points, didn't play. Actually, he did play a good chunk in the playoffs. I do like his defensive awareness and his face-offs, but I'm not sure if I want him back. I might just qualify him for now. I think that's an okay thing to do, and then we can make a decision. Wisniewski's going to come back for the AHL, so we'll do that. UFAs. So Barkov will get his ELC because he'll be playing in the minors. I'm going to come back to Solovyov and the guys we're going to let go of soon. Other guys for the AHL, Grollo has potential. We don't have a lot of roster room in the minors. I am going to let go of Rowe. He's not going to pan out. Grumman Morris might not pan out. Howes probably should get his ELC, so we'll get Howes signed up. Same with Jersina. He should probably get his ELC. Carlson might get let go of. We are definitely letting go of Hamilton for sure. Carlson, what does he want? 9.25. How's he been in the AHL? Like, I feel like he's a good AHL defenseman, but not good enough for the NHL. 36 points. He's only played in the playoffs one time. His plus-minus is atrocious. He plays like what Erik Karlsson's plus-minus was like in his NHL career. So, you know what? I'm going to let go of Ola Karlsson, but we might bring him back as a depth defenseman. We are also going to let go of Fisher. So let's give a salute to some of these guys like Brendan Fisher. Only a little bit here with this team. Solid defenseman. But yeah, I just need to free up some roster room. So salute to Brendan Fisher. Probably the lesser of the names we're going to be actually letting go of. Shen's kind of not bad as a depth forward. But 2-year deal at 16.25. It's not terrible, but it is kind of high for a guy that's going to be a depth forward. Because if we want to actually sign him for a 1-year deal, we're probably looking at close to $2 million. Like I said, I like Shen's defensive play as well. He's got good defensive awareness and all that. I think I'm going to let go of Shen for now, but we could always bring him back. Grumman Morris is going to get his ELC for the AHL, of course. Grollo will give him his ELC as well, just because they're both low leads. And then we have Cialfido and Tatar and Solovyov. Oh, boy. This sucks, man. Because we probably have to say goodbye to all 3 of them. So let's start by looking at Tatar here. I know he's going to want too much and he doesn't want an extension. Yeah, that's just too much money. That's literally, he wants to get paid more money, like I said, than Olli Houtonen, which is a bit too much to me. We might be able to knock him down by 2 bars, but even then, at 31 years old, is he worth that much money? Like, he would literally knock his price probably down to, like, maybe 13.5. But even then, I don't know if it's worth it. Like I said, I really do like Tatar. He's been here for quite a while at this point. But I think it's time to probably let him go. Like, his plus-minus with this team has been fantastic. He has been out there for a lot of goals for, though, with this team. Ever since we brought him in from Montreal. Yeah, he's been a damn good player. Playoffs as well. He's helped us out a lot. 70 playoff points is actually kind of insane, considering he only has 390 during the regular season. And he's a DFD, too, for that matter. So, oh, boy. Kind of sucks to let somebody like that walk, but I kind of have to get rid of him based on the roster space and also the fact he doesn't want an extension. So, yeah, we're probably going to let him go. What about Cialfido? Yeah, his asking price is going too high. He wants a full new movement. I can't really justify bringing him back on something like that. Like, we could probably knock him down quite a bit because of the full no movement clause that he's asking for. But even then, that ties us up a lot in terms of money. And like I said, there's guys that need to get more ice time, like in the bottom 6, like Dempsey. So I think both these guys are gone, unfortunately. And then from a goalie perspective, we probably have to let go of Solovyov. His asking price isn't super high. He does want a no trade clause, which is kind of sick. But it's just, the thing is we have a Nicholas who's ready for the NHL. So we probably want to let go of Solovyov. Like, we could bring him back as a third string goalie, but I don't really like having 3 goalies in the NHL at the same time. So I think all 3 of these guys have to go. So let's start by saying goodbye to Tatar. Wish him the best of luck to him. There's just no way I could justify that money. He's a fantastic DFD that actually also produces offensively. So he's kind of a unique player. And it's going to suck for somebody like Houghton, who's going to have to get used to playing with somebody like Schaefer instead. But let's salute to Tatar. Best of luck to him in the free agent market. That kind of sucks. That's a pretty big blow, but we are going to have a lot of money at least to spend in free agency on new players potentially for this team that might actually help this team win a championship. So we got to think of like that. Seal Fido, like I said, is a tough one as well. Former 8th overall pick back almost a decade ago. He was only was he a high overall top 6 forward? I feel like he was. But he turned into an elite player. Really good passer. Some really good stats during his career. But obviously he's had some injury trouble recently, I think, too. Actually, I guess this season. Yeah, he's getting better and better every year. So I feel like letting go of him is going to kind of suck because I feel like he could turn a team into being really good. But we definitely need to change it up a little bit. So shout out to Seal Fido. Best of luck to him as well. Hopefully he finds somewhere to play that suits his needs a little bit better. Nobody lost morale after letting go of Seal Fido. That's actually kind of a surprise because I thought he would have been a liked player, but I guess not. And then the tough one is Solovyov because he's been here for a very, very long time at this point. How many games has he played with us? 777. Well, that's not your lucky number since he's getting let go of, but yeah, Solovyov's had a fantastic career here. Not necessarily the best regular season numbers when you look at his numbers, but he's had some really good playoffs, even if this team hasn't won a Stanley Cup. Like a career .914 save percentage in the postseason, as opposed to like a .904 in the regular season. Like, it kind of sucks to let him go, but we are going to change over to some young goalies, and maybe that will be what changes this team into doing better. So best of luck to Solovyov. He will probably end up retiring with whatever team he signs with, so salute to him. And there we go. 3 big players let go of Solovyov as well. Nobody lost morale letting go of him. That's kind of surprising. Solovyov and Seal Fido didn't lose morale, but Tatar did. So kind of interesting. All right. So that's all of that taken care of. The RFAs, we need to obviously be spending some money on them, so we don't have as much cap space as I originally thought. Let's get these scouts signed back up, though, and we'll see if Savage accepts his contract that we gave him, because he's the only RFA I actually gave money to right now, because he's pretty much a dirt cheap bottom 6 forward. There you go. He accepts that. Perfect. And we have $37 million. Basically, Holmstrom and Carlton are going to be the most expensive. I could see them eating up like 10 to 12 million maybe. These two, probably not as expensive. So we might be like around $20 million in cap space. Like 17 million for these 4 dudes probably makes a lot of sense. So we are definitely going to need to spend some more money in the next episode. But what do we need this season? What do we need? So we got our goaltending tandem of Nicholas and Komatov. Honestly, don't know how that's going to work out compared to having Solovyov, because letting go of Solovyov, that's the first time we've let go of like a goalie that good that we've had since like Sorokin, since Varlamov days. So Komatov and Nicholas are the next guys to take over. Both of them are exactly 21 as well, so they both might get equal starts this season, which will be interesting. AHL will be Vishnevsky and Barkov. From a defensive standpoint, we have Houghton and Schaefer as the top 2. Holmstrom and Carlton as the top 4, I think, is a nice little one. And then Erzberg, Granado as the top 6. Lindsay maybe is a top 6 defenseman, but I still feel like it's too many offensive defensemen on our defensive core if we have 4 of them. So I'm still leaning towards potentially moving on from one of these two guys. Probably Erzberg, just because he's already 24. Because I don't know, even if having 3 offensive defensemen seems like a lot. What type of defender is Lindsay again? He's a DFD, so it probably would make sense to have Lindsay in the lineup if he shoots up an overall rather than both these offensive defensemen. So we probably have to look into signing a depth defender and basically trading one of these guys if Lindsay jumps. Aside from that, though, our defensive core, like our top 4, is going to look pretty good again. Right wing side of things, we have Dempsey, who's only a 79, medium 6. Was he always a medium 6? I thought he was a low elite. He might have changed potentials, but he's only 21, so that's kind of strange. But he's going to be decent in getting a bigger chance this year. He's got 4-star shooting, so let's hope that we could get that offensive awareness better. So he's going to be one of our right wingers. From a left wing's perspective, we got Crane, Ragnarsson, Kazanov, Bigris, Mishenko. Nielsen's pretty much ready to make that jump. Savage, Popov might make the jump. Hilbert could potentially jump. Same with Schroeder. Yeah, we might have too many forwards if they're all NHL ready, but right now it looks like we have at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guarantees, maybe more. And in centers, we got 9 with Mackinnon, Giordano is 10, 11, 12, potentially 13. All right, so we probably have almost enough forwards. We might not need to sign a forward, but we could, because we got the money. Like, our top 6 is going to be a little bit weaker, but guys like Kazanov or Mishenko might get a higher chance because of this season, so we got to make decisions with that. Bigris is a pending UFA as well. So, yeah, our team might take a little bit of a step back because it's definitely not as strong as it used to be unless we sign some stuff in free agency, which honestly, I don't think there's much that this team actually potentially needs to. So, will be interesting to see what we end up looking at in this free agent market. So, let's simulate 2 free agency and see if there's anything interesting for us to sign next episode. Because we need to look into bringing in maybe somebody that could get this team into winning the Stanley Cup. I wonder where those Cielfito, Tatar, and Solovyov will sign. Obviously, we'll find that out in the next episode as well. We could also still make trades if we really want to, but I don't know if there's any trades to be had or not. But let's take a look at the available free agents this season. Let me actually remove my face so you guys can kind of see stuff again. Let's go UFAs, goalies. We don't need goaltenders, but Prindis and Somers are free agents, so Somers left Montreal after winning the Stanley Cup. Solovyov's there, of course. Doesn't have any teams interested in him right now. Wow, there's actually a lot of interesting goalies. Kolzig as well. Gudis, Jas. All right, a lot of goalies, but we don't need goalies. Defensively, if we wanted to bring in a defenseman, damn, a right-handed 91 overall defenseman that's 1 year younger than Tatar, and he wants less money but more term. But he's a 2-way. We're not going to bring in a huge free agent like that, but there's 3 90-plus overall defensemen in this free agent pool. So that just shows how good this free agency is going to be. Tarnstrom, who is also in Montreal, I think, too, right? Yeah, this guy was in Montreal, is also a free agent. So there's that. Yeah, some solid defensemen. It's obviously pretty top-heavy, but I don't really think defense is what we need. Maybe we would need more forwards, not too sure. But there is defenders. From an offensive perspective, right wing, there's Vorobev and there's Vorobyov. There's also Thornton. There's Ulanov, our former player. How did he do after we traded him away? He played 20 games with Dallas and had 12 points. Damn, that's actually relatively impressive. Because with us, he only had 13 points in 82 games. So I guess he got an elevated role with the Dallas Stars, and he played quite well. Interesting. Would be nice to have Ulanov back again, maybe, if he was going to produce like that, but I'm not too sure if I could slot him in, really. Aside from that, not really a lot of good right wingers out there. From a left wing perspective, there is Bates. Damn. Bates was in Ottawa, wasn't he? Yeah, I thought so. Bates is a free agent at 26. Damn, that's a pretty big one. He's not the craziest elite player. Has won a Stanley Cup before? Yeah, has won a Stanley Cup, obviously the year that they beat us in the conference finals, but he's pretty good. And there's obviously Cielfito, who we used to have. 2 teams are interested in him right now. Ethan Belchet's is available. Hakkarainen's available. There's actually some really solid top free agents available this year. compared to past years, which is good. Because if we want to address something, we can. Urquhart as a bottom 6 option. Didn't I look at Urquhart as a trade option before? I feel like I did. 10 goals, averaging 7 minutes of ice time. Not bad. Not bad, but eh. So there's that. Center perspective. There is Wall. Not as good as centers as there is wingers, it looks like, but still some solid options. Marco Casper, 38 years old at this point. Goddamn. You can just tell how far we are into this at this point in time. Ovechkin, who used to play with us briefly, is back in free agency after playing a little bit in Vancouver. 29 points from the season. All right. Could always bring back Ovechkin if I wanted, but center depth is not really a problem with this team. So there is all that. Okay. Huh. I don't really know what I would target in this free agent crop. Like I said, there's some really good players, but are they players we necessarily need? It's hard to say. It's hard to say. Because we kind of need right wingers more than anything if we needed player type. But we could use those left wing, right wings on the right side. But we definitely aren't super strong in the bottom 6. So maybe there's something here you guys see that we could bring in. But I'm not too sure. Because we definitely need to make ourselves a little bit more cap compliant. Because I think even after we sign the RFAs, we will still have cap space available. Coaching staff. We could always make some adjustments to the coaching staff. We need a goalie coach because that's what I guess retired in last episode. But we also could look to bring in another good coach to try and get this team to win. Because our current head coach, he's a fantastic coach fit for us. But he has not found a way to win that Stanley Cup. Is there anybody with a super high fit? Not. Oh, there's a 62 here in Slager. It's an associate coach though. There's not anybody with a really crazy fit on this free agent crop. But we do need a goalie coach. That's definitely something we'll target in the next episode. So we'll probably end up going with like this guy, Radoslav Malik, as that goalie coach since he's A+. Or maybe we go for somebody else like Majewski. Or we go for Bunka. What a last name? Bunka. So we'll definitely find ourselves a goalie coach though. So there is that. Final things we got to take a look at is the trading block, just in case there's any potential trades to be had. Because maybe we can make a blockbuster trade if there's anybody interesting on the block. But I'm honestly not too sure what this team needs. Because every time I think I know what this team needs, they end up losing in the conference finals. So Anaheim just has draft picks. Boston has Prince. We don't need prospects right now. We're trying to go for a Stanley Cup. So we got to find somebody that's going to be good, that would actually help us out. And prospects are in Calgary, Shirokov in Carolina, same with Kristanovich and Bakos. Aside from that, the Chicago Blackhawks have nothing. Colorado has nothing, really, just some goalie prospects. Columbus has Wong. I almost wanted to say Trevor Wong, but it's not Trevor Wong. Ted Wong. What else we got here? Dallas has 90 on the block. That's not a bad defenseman, but he's making way too much money, and we're not on his trade list, apparently. Probably doesn't want to go to a team that's just going to choke in the playoffs. Kamachi and Campbell, kind of bottom 6 depth options. Edmonton has Hemingway, who's not very good. Florida has that Lindsay guy they just drafted on the trading block. That's kind of interesting. Guess they're trying to still win a Stanley Cup there. LA has nothing. Minnesota has Blake. He is a DFD. Top 4 DFD. Not the craziest defensive awareness on him, but good stick checking and very good shot blocking. Would fit our top 6 pairings, but he's listed as a top 4. So probably not somebody I would bring in because of that. Did win the Masterton Trophy a couple years ago too. Aside from that, Montreal has nothing. Nashville's just prospects. I'm not really seeing anything on the block so far. Zherdev is a goalie. Don't really need a goalie because we have 2 young goalies. Frolov. I prefer to trust the young goalies than going with a random guy like that. Philadelphia has Michkov still on the block with 1 year left. That might actually be not a bad option for our offensive core. Because we do need right wingers. Michkov has been simulating good. He is going to be probably on the decline soon. But he probably could play good on that top line. Even though he's an 83 though. It's not a super high overall. I was hoping he'd be higher. But he could be interesting to help out our offense a bit. Like, he doesn't have a clause. He's not making a ton of money. I don't know if that would be worth it, though. There's also, like, Ep.98. There's Kerslake. Kerslake's actually not a bad centerman, too, but he's more of a sniper, so better suited probably for a top 6 role. Pittsburgh has Zach Benson on the block. Probably don't need Zach Benson. He's more of a top 6 forward as well. Anstis, I should say, had actually a really good year last year. Interesting. Faith. Maybe this will give our team a little faith to win the Stanley Cup, huh? Actually, very good defensive stats on this guy. Damn, this guy actually might be a perfect fourth-line center. Okay, so I think we might have found an option to bring in for the fourth line. So I know I just re-signed Russell, but getting rid of him, bringing in a veteran fourth line guy like this might help out a lot. Very good defensive awareness, I would say, or average defensive awareness. Face-offs are an 87. Solid shot blocking, solid stick checking. So he will win a lot of draws as a fourth line center. Had 35 points in Pittsburgh. Like, he can produce too, it looks like, which is surprising. But yeah, his face-off stats are very good. Career almost 56% on the draw. Does have a lot of takeaways as well. I think he'd be a really nice fit for that bottom 6 potentially, or fourth line for that matter. He doesn't fit our coach's system though, which is unfortunate, but we could always try and get him to fit it if necessary. But I think he could be a good guy to bring in just to help us out a bit on that bottom 6, considering we just let go of Shen too. What else we got here? There's like not really much else though. Like, I was hoping there'd be like a crazy elite sniper kind of guy that we could bring in, but there isn't. Utah has Tijagila, but he's 35 at this point, so likely going to drop off. Vancouver has a goalie that we don't really need. They also have Varakis, who's a goalie. A lot of goalies in Vancouver, apparently. Vegas, there's a medium elite prospect in Rousseau. When was this guy drafted? 3rd round. Damn, in the recent draft. Didn't even see him. So Vegas is just trying to offload prospects as they normally do. Newman, 34 years old. Not really need him. And Winnipeg has Louis. There's not really a lot on the block. We might have to look throughout other teams in the league to see if there's anybody interesting, but I honestly don't know what we need. I'm trying to think of our lines projected. Our top line should be probably like Makinen, Crane, and Ragnarsson. Second line, Giordano, Gazanov, and Bigris. Third line, Ashton, Dempsey, and Nielsen. Fourth line, Savage, Popov, and Sprooks. Yeah, we don't really have the best depth. Actually, we have some RFAs still holding out, though, too. Mishenko's in that mix. So Mishenko would probably be more as a third line left wing. Like, do we need to make any crazy adjustments, or do we just see what this team looks like next season and see how they simulate, and then we address any problems if there's any? That's maybe a play. But like I said, the offensive defensemen, there's too many of them. So if we trade away one of them, that might help things a bit. Like, does Erzberg have a lot of value considering he's still an elite prospect technically? Because like I said, we might have to look at trading one of those OFDs, because I think 4 offensive defensemen would make us pretty bad defensively. Let's actually sort by trade value. Yeah, Erzberg still has a chunk of value. So, even though Erzberg, I think, was a first-round selection, right? Yeah, even though he was drafted late first round, he's an offensive defenseman, and he looks pretty offensively minded. He was a minus 50 last year in the AHL. God damn, I didn't even realize that. God damn, man. It's crazy. But yeah, him. And then we also have, if we sort by player type, which is all the way over here, you could see that basically Houghton's an OFD, Holmstrom's an OFD, and then Erzberg and Granado. And Granado looks like this. He was drafted in the 2nd round. Looks pretty good. His passing's not the best, so he's not the craziest offensive defenseman, but he was better defensively last year in the AHL, so maybe that means that he'd be a better defenseman than Erzberg to keep around. Because obviously Houghton and Holmstrom should be here still for the long haul. Well, Houghton for sure at least, but Holmstrom hard to say. Holmstrom's also a right demon, so yeah, we probably want to part ways with an offensive defenseman, I'm guessing. I think that might be the best play. Howden's really good defensively for an offensive defenseman. Holmstrom's solid. Erzberg's 3 stars. Granato's 3 stars. So they're both pretty even defensively. But I might honestly prioritize Granado just because Erzberg actually has the value that can maybe fetch us something. So with that said, that's going to do it, guys, for this episode of New York Islanders franchise mode. So in next episode, we'll take it to free agency. We'll see what we end up doing in terms of reconfiguring our roster, if we do any free agent signings, do any trades. But I think most of this team is going to probably stay the same, except for the guys we let go of. And we could kind of just see what this team simulates like, and then we can maybe address any problems if there's any like bad chemistry, if there's any bad simulation stuff with our team as well. So we will probably do a lot of that at the start of the season if our team's not off to a good start. So anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.